August 25th, 2001. On this specific morning, David Lee Edward was so broke he couldn't even pay his water bill. Let me ask you something. What would you do if you were in his shoes? Most of us think that a pile of money would fix every single one of our problems. We see a lottery ticket and we see a way out. But for David, that ticket wasn't a way out. It was a trap. In this world, there are some people who are meant to be at the bottom. And when they try to climb out too fast, the world doesn't just push them back down. It buries them. Today, I'm going to tell you about a man who touched $27 million and ended up with nothing but a pile of trash and a broken heart. Because sometimes getting everything you want is the worst thing that can happen to you. If you're new to the channel, I am Momin. Here we only reveal dark hidden stories, the ones you were never meant to know. Before we dive in, subscribe and join the family. As we always say, relax, it's just the first 100 years that are the hardest. Before we get into David's life, let's talk about how this dream actually works. We need to look at the machine behind the curtain. Take the American Powerball. People spend $70 million every year on these little pieces of paper. They think they are buying hope, but the truth, 70% of people who win big lose everything in just a few years. It's a statistic that sounds impossible, but it's real. Why? It's simple. When you earn money slowly, you learn the weight of a dollar. You learn how to protect it. But when the money just appears overnight, your brain chemistry actually changes. You stop seeing money as a tool and start seeing it as a magic wand. Then comes the pressure. You have the government taking nearly half in taxes immediately. You have financial advisors who smell blood in the water. And you have the human ego. You go from a person to a target in 5 seconds. Everyone you ever knew and hundreds you didn't suddenly has an opportunity for you. In 2001, David Lee Edward was exactly the kind of person the system loves to destroy. He wasn't a good guy who hit a stroke of bad luck. He was a career criminal who spent 16 years of his life in prison for armed robbery. He knew how to survive a cell block, but he had no idea how to handle a bank account. The system is designed to reward discipline. David had none. He was a man who solved his problems with a gun. David was born in 1955 in Ashland, Kentucky. And honestly, he never had a chance. His life started with death. His 3-year-old sister died in surgery. His older brother drowned in a lake called Greenbow. Imagine growing up in a house where the air is just heavy with sadness. A house where parents are broken by grief. To forget that pain, David started using drugs at 16. That same year, he was arrested for first time for trying to rob a shop. He wasn't a mastermind. He was just a guy who would rob a gas station for $360 and think he was a king. He was in and out of the system so much. The guards probably knew his coffee order. He eventually got married and had a daughter named Tiffany. But he kept breaking the rules of his release and going right back to jail. After 16 years of being locked up, David finally got out and tried to be normal. He even started taking university courses in prison to change his path. In 1997, he started working in construction, but the drugs always found him. He lost his job. He lost his home. By 2001, he was sleeping in his car. He met a girl named Shona who worked at a bar. They moved into a tiny $30,000 house that was falling apart. They were so broke, they couldn't even keep the water on. One afternoon, David had to beg a friend for money just to pay the water bill. He paid it, and with the $7 he had left over, he decided to take Shona to get a cheap pizza. On the way, he stopped at a booth and bought 2 lottery tickets. He had no idea those $7 were about to ruin his life. What I'm just about to tell you, your mind will not be able to handle. That night, the numbers came up. David didn't just win, he won a share of $280 million jackpot. His part was $41 million. After taxes, he was left with $27 million in cash. Now, look at how the system traps you. They give him a choice. Take $2.9 million every year for 25 years, which is about $240,000 a month, or take all the cash now. Any person with a brain would take the monthly pay, especially with the background that he had. You could lose $200K in a month and still be rich the next. But David's financial advisor, a man named James Gibbs, told him to take the cash. He promised David that if he followed a special plan, he would have $85,000 a month for the rest of his life. This was the moment David's fate was sealed. At first, David went on TV and acted like a humble man. He sat there in a cheap suit and said, "I'm not going to spend it on mansions. I'm doing this for my daughter and my grandkids." That lasted about 5 minutes. Before the money even hit his account, he took a $200,000 loan from the bank. Why? To take his friend to Las Vegas. He spent all $200,000 in 5 days. When the real money arrived, he went on a spending madness that the whole town was staring at him. He bought a $1.6 million mansion in Florida with tennis courts and a golf course. He spent over $1 million on fleet of cars. He bought a private jet for $1.9 million. He turned his street into a garage with all his cars that the neighbors had to submit a complaint. But the weirdest part, he spent thousands on 200 fake swords and 3 race horses that never won a single race. He even bought a $30,000 plasma TV back when those were a luxury no one had. He was trying to buy a kingdom to replace the family he lost as a child. In the first year, David spent $12 million. That's $1 million a month. But the real darkness was inside the house. David and Shona were spending $200,000 a month on heavy drugs. He was trying to be loyal to his old life by paying for the funerals of his friends who died from overdose inside his own mansion. Think about that. Having so much money, you just pay for the coffins of the people you use drugs with. He tried to invest $4.5 million in a fiber optic company and a limo business, but he was a high school dropout with no experience. Even his wife and his friends were stealing his Rolex watches and his cars while he was passed out. Both David and Shona ended up getting infected from sharing dirty needles. The wealthy life looked exactly like his prison life, just with more expensive walls. By 2006, the money was gone. The bank took the mansion. The cars were sold for drug money. David and Shona ended up living in a storage garage. Imagine that transition from a mansion with a private jet to a cold, dirty garage filled with empty needles and trash. The government finally stepped in and took his daughter, Tiffany, away because the environment was too dangerous. Shona left him to marry someone else. David tried to get clean in a rehab center, but his body was done. In 2013, David died in a hospital bed. He was alone. He was broke. He didn't even have enough money for a grave, so they had to bury his body. He promised his daughter the world, and he left her with nothing but a sad story.
Off from his job has died. Independent reports say 58-year-old David Lee Edwards died.
The money didn't save David. It just made his ending much faster. Let me ask you something. Do you think David would still be alive today if he never bought that ticket? Or was he always heading for his ending no matter what? Be honest in the comments. If you saw $27 million in your account tomorrow, what would be the first thing you would do? The lesson is simple. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a man is getting everything he ever asked for. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy these stories, stay close and hit all the good buttons. I'll see you in a blink. Peace.